set here? Okay, it's 6:30, and we'll call this meeting of May 7th of the Laconia Planning Board to order. I'll look over here. You want to do the roll call?
Sir, in attendance, we have Brian Wolf, Gail Ober, Stacy Susi, Rich McNeil, Mike Delavecchia, Chair, Charlie St. Clair, Scott McWilliam, Amy Levisick, and staff in attendance, we have Rob Mora, Planning Director, Tyler Carmichael, Assistant Planning Director, and Savannah Brunel will be the recording secretary for the meeting.
Okay, thank you. So look for a motion to accept the minutes from the previous meeting, which was April 2nd.
Just need one little correction.
Well, first we have to have a motion to accept, and then we can, you making a motion?
make a
I'm
mo-
eager.
Are you making a motion to
I'll
accept?
make a motion to accept the minutes from the last meeting. Is there a second?
You got a
Second.
second? I want to get as
Second.
much of her on the record as much as possible, because if you're not all aware of it, this is her last meeting. So we need to work her right to the bone.
No, we know.
Okay, so go ahead.
Gonna announce it at the
Yeah.
end, but that's okay.
No, I think people should know now, so they can appreciate it. So anyway, your discussion?
Yes. Page 2, the second paragraph, the finding of fact was that the land was going to be donated. I do not think I made myself clear enough, and that was in addition to that all housing is needed in the entire state. This is right above, number 7, new public hearings.
Oh, the second, okay, second complete pair, okay.
Everybody okay with that? We make that correction?
If we could add that, because that, I don't like that finding of fact.
So staff's all set with that? You're all set with that? Okay. Anything else? Okay, all in favor, raise your hand to accept the minutes. Thank you, Gail, that was quite a handrise. Anyway, you barely saw it, kid. Okay, nobody was opposed, thank you very much. So I did say that tonight was Stacy's last night on the planning board, unless she comes back at a later date. But I personally want to thank you for everything you've done and what you're going to do tonight, and I appreciate that. I also want to introduce to the board Mr. Wolf, it's Bob, right? What's your first name?
Brian.
Brian, I wasn't even close. So Brian, you want to tell us a little bit just about you? Because you've told the council, but we don't know anything.
24 years here in Laconia, just looking forward to helping support the town.
That's good.
Served previously on the zoning board and a number of other similar functions.
All right, great. That's good to know. I appreciate that. And of course, Gail's a full member now, right? Were you last month too?
No,
Okay.
I wasn't seated last month.
We have any other changes
That was all the changes we've had so far.
so far? Okay.
That's enough, isn't it? That's a lot of changes in one go-round.
Okay, thank you. So on continued public hearings, we have 6.1 PL 2024-0022 SP 144 Valley Street. They have asked to have this continued to next month. We need to have that vote, we do. So I'll look for a motion on that.
Should they continue that until the June whatever meeting? of the
First
planning
Tuesday
board?
in June,
First
okay.
Tuesday in June meeting, and
Thank
I
you.
don't know, I don't have I do have
The
a
June
calendar.
4th meeting.
June 4th, okay.
June 4th?
We have a second on that?
Second.
Seconded by Amy. All in favor, raise your hand. That's unanimous. Okay, thank you very much. So now we go to new public hearings. And 7.1, that's PL 2023-0048 SP. Remember one, that's Endicott Street North, 141-252-3, the Chardai RV camping lot. That's they proposed to amend the site to allow for additional utility poles. I think most of us will remember that. Is the applicant here?
Charlie,
Oh, go ahead.
we'll just
We
have to
vote.
accept the application first.
Yeah, I'm still gonna have, but that's fine. Anyone have a motion to accept that?
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor, raise your hands. Thank you. If it seems like I'm speeding along, it's because we're trying to get that deadline, 9 o'clock here, if at all possible. Where's the applicant? Oh, no. Oh, please come up, please come up.
William Ryder with Chardai Land Holdings. This is my electrician Nate Fish. Hi, how you
Can you just tell us your address where you live, please?
At 1184 Weirs Boulevard, Laconia.
Okay, thank you.
34 Bennington Drive, Belmont, New Hampshire.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, guys.
So basically, we have to add 2 more poles to the site. We're going above ground because we can't get the underground, as we all know. It was 72 months out. And what was it, 800 we had to go with?
Yes, these are all gonna be 600 amp services, that we're requesting. Eversource has, they basically told us that, it's private property, and they don't have to have any variances, as long as their pole is on private property, they're good to go, is what they had said to us.
So it's actually, it's not us wanting the above ground. We would obviously go underground if we could. So Eversource is the one requesting this.
Okay. Do you have a map on that we can show to the public watching this?
I have this that we could show. That's kind of where the property starts. But NHDES, actually, when AOT did the permitting, for the final permitting, they put a 10-foot block wall on that side for drainage. So
Is that gonna affect that?
the pole probably wouldn't really be visible from anything else, so it wouldn't really affect anything, no.
All right, before we go to the public hearing, should I do that before we take questions?
That's the way.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Is there anybody here from the public that would like to comment on this? We have one person, come on up, or 2 or 3. Come on up. Just your name and address, please.
Sure, Steve Furland, 58 Breckenridge Way, Laconia.
Okay,
We're the abutter for,
you're in the back, right?
yes.
Okay.
Did he get I wrote that document that we'd like to just settle this, and if they could put in a privacy fence in addition to the trees, we'd be good with it.
So that's in addition to what was already proposed? The privacy fence?
Correct.
Do you wanna ask the gentleman, or?
No,
Okay, so
so
we'll wait.
you want a privacy fence. I just need a procedural thing. Did we already vote on this? This is approved?
It is, but this is a change.
This is a change. Can we do that without noticing it?
This
It's been
has been
noticed.
noticed.
It has to be noticed.
It has been noticed.
Oh, that the fence has been noticed?
No, this application has been noticed.
This is a
this
request
is the
from the
response.
abutters to put the fence in.
I'm saying, does that request from the abutters have to be noticed separately?
No.
No, but this would be a second change to this already approved application. If his
So
request.
the butter has put forth a request of what is amendable to them, to the board. That has nothing to do with the application that the applicant submitted. This is their response to that application.
I understand that. I'm
That's the
saying,
purpose of a public meeting, for them to make a request.
okay, well, I guess I'm just saying that they've been granted a conditional approval based on the initial application, right?
Yes. Yep.
That initial application did not include a privacy fence.
Correct.
Okay, the motion to amend that initial approval is only a request to add 2 utility poles.
They're asking that, but we have a property owner next door asking.
I know what's happening, I just
Okay.
wanna know if it's a legitimate request for this meeting, because that particular item was not noticed on the agenda. It's changing more than just the poles on the application, is what I'm saying. And that's what we were here tonight. It's a procedural thing. It's not whether I care or not whether there's a privacy fence. It's a procedural thing.
So the applicant is looking to amend their original approval.
Okay.
At this point, the abutters are certainly able
Okay.
to ask for additional conditions than what the
If they can do
applicant
that,
is-
if they can do that, then that's fine. That was my question. They can put in additional things. Okay, whatever. Sorry about that. I don't have any questions for him. I understand what he wants. I just,
The original
do it.
approval was that the utilities would be underground, and we understand the problem that they're having with being able to move forward. But we just felt that having a privacy fence might soften the blow of having wires going across like we'd originally decided.
How tall of a fence were you looking for?
10 foot.
And what would the fence be made of to make you guys? Would it be like a wood fence, a vinyl fence?
PVC vinyl.
Vinyl.
And then the trees can go, the fence, and then the trees that were already approved can go on, in front of the fence.
Alongside the fence, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then we're good?
Anybody else have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, what's your name again?
Steve?
Steve.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have the original application in front of us any longer, but if I recall, some of those units, their balcony was like, I don't know, I'm guessing now, 10 feet from the property line. It was really, can you remind me of what the distance between that
Yeah,
property line and the, the rear of those units and their balconies and so on?
sure. It's probably what?
Maybe 40, 50 feet.
40, 50 feet?
Yeah.
Between, okay, buffer there, okay.
Yeah, I went over and sat on some of the people's decks just to kind of get a feel for it, that it's right on top of them, essentially.
Right.
So that's, we would have agreed to everything, but since it was brought back up, we thought maybe we could help out.
Did you have so I got the 10 feet tall. What kind of width were we talking for the actual fence that you'll be interested?
The whole back boundary.
Yeah, the back boundary, which, I don't know, maybe 150 feet?
And right now, there's only gonna be trees there?
Yeah, there's not many, the trees that they're gonna plant is the only, the trees are
Right.
so sparse, you don't even notice the
Is that
difference
one I
between
forgot
their
about?
property and our property.
Okay, Amy?
Just out of curiosity, obviously a telephone pole is higher than 10 feet. How is this gonna help you?
The trees, are, they're arborvitaes, I think, or something they're gonna plant so that they'll grow up 10 feet. So it should be up above, about the lot, the height of the poles in the
But a
line.
fence, a 10-foot tall fence,
Yeah,
is
yeah,
not going to
that's just
block your
when-
view
when-
of a telephone pole. Correct?
No,
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't think that was the intention. I thought the intention was just to try to give them a little more privacy.
yes.
But what's, because they want a telephone pole? All of a
No, they're
sudden?
just taking the opportunity to make additional.
But that should
requests,
have
but it's
been
not
made
about the
at the
pole.
beginning. I think this is,
that's my argument.
that's an unfair ask, only because it's a pole, right? And that they are being forced to put up because of Eversource, not because of them. And I'm just thinking that, we're
Steve, can I speak?
we're at a point where 10 feet for a fence, for 2 poles, the entire length of the property.
I didn't get the impression it was specifically because of the poles.
But that's the only change they're trying to make.
I
That's the
understand that.
amendment, right?
I understand that.
Can I
So-
speak?
Sure.
I'm Derek Dimick, 69 Breckenridge Way, Unit 11, which my unit abuts this property, so I look at it. In the beginning, I don't believe that the developer did his due diligence on notifying the abutters. He notified Brady Sullivan, which was the developer of our property, not the abutter. The abutters is the condo, the condo board. We were never notified. Brady Sullivan was notified, which he is not the abutter. He was the developer of the condo complex. So
the residents of the condo complex didn't have any say on any of this before it was approved. So, and I believe that, you know, there's other developments going in. There's one up the road on 11A, which is fairly new, and they don't have any problems getting transformer pads. Then there's Governor's Island 2, which is a new development, which doesn't have any problems getting transformer pads. I think it's the developer's poor planning. Nothing has been done there since he had taken the trees down. Now, it's a 12 to 18-month wait for transformer pads. I don't know where they get 5 years from, but their poor planning and they didn't do their due diligence to contact the proper abutters when this all came to light. So we're just asking for a privacy fence, 10-foot privacy fence along the back property and the trees, so the privacy fence will take care of anything that is seen from our units. And then once the trees grow, then it'll be even more of a barrier.
Okay, I understand.
Now, they said that in their original plan, they said that a campground will raise our assessments, which I don't believe it will. I think it'll make our assessments lower, having a campground right next door.
All right, so before we get off track here, I have one question with regards to notification. I remember the initial application, we did have abutters in here.
We do.
Do you remember, Rob, if the abutters were notified individually per address, or if it was just done through Brady Sullivan?
So, those properties that are within condominium associations or HOAs, the HOA is noticed. And it is the responsibility of the HOA to come into the city to update their address with the assessing department so that they properly get abutter notifications.
So is it possible that some abutters got notification, but not everybody?
It is possible that as you stated, it went to Brady Sullivan. And if they have not been in to update their address with assessing of who should be getting the notification for the HOA, that's what would happen.
And it seems to me we've had this discussion before about some other properties not being duly notified, that same problem. And if I recall, there was something about certified mail going out to people that had to be notified, and that way we would be sure that they were notified. And I'm not saying that, obviously some of the people were either notified or they were watching what was going on, they got curious and then found out, because like I said, we did have people in here. Not that that negates anything you've said, I just wanted to touch on that.
But for this application, I know they came in with an abutters list, and as a standard practice is how we process applications, it goes through our TRC process, and assessing reviews the abutters list and validates that that is the correct list, and they confirm it in their comments to us, and then that's who we send our notices to. So if there's any fault in noticing, it would be the city as opposed to the applicant themselves. But the list was validated by assessing when we sent out the abutter notices.
Okay. Anything else?
If I could just address that.
Okay, you've got a question?
Here's the abutters list.
Okay.
I take it your address is probably something like 713 Endicott Street North with then a unit number?
No.
No, we're 58 Breckenridge Way.
I mean, the abutters list here from the original notification is, I don't know, let's see, what are we looking at?
What are the addresses on it?
Akron
I
Way,
believe you notified Brady
Breckenridge
Sullivan
Way
out of.
is on there.
Breckenridge,
Yeah.
Breckenridge,
Unit
Breckenridge,
one, all the way
Breckenridge,
through.
Breckenridge,
21,
Breckenridge.
22.
Wait, too many people. What's your address?
58 Breckenridge Way.
Okay, let's look at that one.
Unit
Never mind
30.
the rest of it.
It wasn't until after all the trees were cut, we didn't know what was going on there, and we did not get notified of that.
Okay.
When we came to the previous meetings and discovered that that was in error, not necessarily on on account of City Hall, but the developer never relinquished that, so we didn't know. And this time I got it because we changed it, but nobody else got the notices.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions for these gentlemen? Okay, duly noted. Thank you both.
Thank you very much.
Is there anybody else that has anything they'd like to say about this project? Can I ask the two applicants to come back up? One of you.
So I'd like to start by saying, I don't.
Wait a minute.
Sorry.
Now we're piling on.
Hi.
Hi, can you
Shannon
give?
Casey, 66 Landing Lane, also the Realtor for the project.
Okay. I just want to ask you guys, so I get all about fences. Fences sometimes make good neighbors. It is a big fence, though, they're talking about, 150 feet. That's pretty considerable. Is that something you would consider doing?
We've gone through all the steps in due diligence.
No, I'm just asking about the fence. I'm
So
not
no,
debating anything.
No, I don't want to put a fence in, so
You don't wanna put a fence
so
up.
if I can speak to you guys directly, we want to make it as clean as
Good,
possible.
sir?
You have to-
Sir, I
Okay.
want you to be looking up here.
So there's gonna be a row of arborvitaes all the way down, that are, I believe it was 7 to 8 feet once they're put in the ground. And they're actually gonna be 18 to 22 mature height, and they grow 2 to 3 feet a year. So I don't know if they looked at the final plans that NHDES made. So we have that paper that I passed over. On the corner of their back property, we have a concrete block wall that's 9 feet that goes down to about 6.5, 7 for their stretch, maybe 150 to 200 feet long. So if we put the arborvitaes that are gonna be 7 to 8 feet, and then within a year, 10 to 11, we're gonna put a 10-foot fence behind that and then a wall. I just don't really see the reasoning for that. It doesn't really do anything. It doesn't block anything, especially it's not, the telephone pole's gonna be up high, so it's not gonna block any of the
Yeah,
vision.
it has nothing to do with the telephone pole,
Yeah.
quite frankly. In my mind, it doesn't.
Well,
It's
in
just
their
more-
mind, that's what they're saying.
Well, it's more privacy, and I get that, you know,
Yeah, and I don't want it to look bad for anybody, but that's why the board had us do the landscape. That's.
Well, maybe, and I'm just suggesting this because I think that the shot has been missed with this board. It should have been brought up, you know, in the first time it came here, and I see that. However, again, being that you guys are gonna be neighbors for a long time, maybe it's something you guys can work out, maybe not. Maybe there's nothing to prevent you guys from putting a fence up on your piece of property there to help with what you want to accomplish there. Maybe there's a way to split the cost, I don't know. These are just things I'm throwing out there because the best thing you wanna do is try to work along as best you can under the circumstances, and I get the circumstances, trust me. So, that's all I wanna say about that, unless somebody else, Councilor Cheney or anybody have anything to say about that? No? Okay.
And I'd like to add, as for clearing the site, so that was already logged when we bought the property.
Believe me, I remember.
Their site had a road next to it.
Yeah.
We didn't touch anything on their side at all.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, if you did, I'm sure somebody would have heard about it, so.
Correct, yes. So we took
Rightfully
thousands
so.
of pictures, drones, before and after.
All right. Any other questions while I've got these guys back up here and the nice lady?
Yes, so if I could just add, so basically adding the fence would make no material difference to the sight line because you already have the 10-foot concrete wall and the arborvitaes. So it's not gonna make any real change.
Yeah, that's okay, we're dead with that.
Yep, and just
topic
as
now.
far as the notification of the association, we've been working on this for multiple years, and we were all at the meeting. The president of the HOA was here, and she definitely notified everyone. There was about 15 residents.
It's okay, but just was brought up, it's not a problem.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all.
And did you, the electrical as well with the projects they spoke about, those are residential and they're not 800 amp.
Yeah, they're not gonna be,
Those aren't, so.
commercial.
Yeah, all right, thank you.
Okay, any questions for staff? No questions for staff? Any commentary from staff on this?
Rich,
Oh, wait a minute, we have a question.
Rich would know best. Still a transformer problem?
Depends on the voltage. Primary voltage, depending on what it is a huge lead time. They're actually going back, Eversource is actually refurbishing old ones in the building in Hooksett again. They haven't done that for 20 years, just because you can't get new ones. Depends on the voltage.
This project's like a year ago and now, could they have obtained them in that time?
Do they change them?
Can they have obtained them and?
If they can, but there's stuff that's out there, the lead times are crazy.
Okay, staff, do you guys have any commentary on this?
I would just caution the board if they decided to put a fence in. 6 feet would probably be the maximum you could ever go without getting a variance from the zoning board. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, but we're not going there. So, is there anything else that staff would like to,
Staff has no issues with the application as it is presented.
okay. I would entertain a motion, either yes or no.
I make a motion, we approve the amendment to application PL 2024-0022 SPAMD 1 for Endicott Street North. To include the recommended conditions of approval. Number 1, to modify the utility plan to reflect the number of above-ground utility poles required by Eversource to provide adequate cover to all the campgrounds. And number 2, to restrict the applicant to the minimum number of above-ground poles that is required by Eversource to provide adequate power to the campsites.
Is there
I'll
a
second
second?
that.
Amy is
I'm on it.
forcefully. Second.
On it.
Thank you very much, Amy.
Welcome.
Okay, any more discussion on this? Okay, everybody in favor of accepting this, raise your hand, please. Opposed? One abstention. It passes. That would be Mike that abstained, right? Thank you all, and thank you for you guys coming in too. And you know, if you have anything comes up or anything, please feel free to, I'm sure you know this, as do the applicants, just get in touch with Rob at the planning department.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now we are on 7.2 PL 2022-0097 SU, 28 Veterans Avenue. The proposed subdivision of the current parcel into 2 separate lots. And you've got a map, wonderful, and we have a place for them to set that up. If you can get that for them, thank you.
Charles, we'll just need to accept this application.
Oh, I
as well.
keep forgetting we have to accept this stuff.
I'll make a motion to accept application PL 2022-0097 SU.
Okay, is there a second for
Second.
that? Seconded, all in favor, raise your hand, please.
Oh, as complete, I amend that.
Yeah, that's fine, okay, and then, so that was unanimous, thank you. Okay, oh, no, please come up.
Good evening. My name is Steve Oles from Norway Plains and Associates, here on behalf of Jeff Robertson. His sister here, Lori, is here on behalf to answer any questions that I can't answer for you.
Can you put the mic down a little bit there so we can hear better?
Is that
Thank you.
better?
I'll remind all my colleagues here to make sure you speak into the mics as best you can, since we've had some
That's fine.
complaints
It's
about
very
that.
simple, straightforward. 2-lot subdivision. We came before the TRC meeting, took care of all the information. I have the updated plan here on my easel that addresses all the comments that were from the TRC meeting. So it's just basically a simple 2-lot subdivision on Veterans Avenue, and I can answer any questions you may have.
Do you have any questions for the applicant? Want to take a second to refamiliarize yourself with the application? You need that?
I just have one question, if Rob can answer. What did he went in front of the zoning board?
So yes, so
What did the zoning board have to, what did he go for? Was
so
there a?
they
density-
requested a variance for lot frontage for only having, for not having municipal water there.
Yep.
So they would have been required to have, I believe it was 160 linear feet of frontage, and they wanted to go down to 80 feet, just have one municipal service.
Okay, and that was approved.
And the zoning board approved it, yes.
Okay, so that's the last business that they have to conclude with the zoning board. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions? Staff? Commentary?
No? It's a basic subdivision. We have our recommended conditions outlined on our staff review, monumentation for the survey, for the subdivision. Plans and documentation must be removed, all references to the Sybil Robinson Trust in accordance with March 22nd, 2024 deed. Water Department has some specifications, should they decide to connect to municipal water. That follows for the utility connections as well. The driveway easement language must be provided to the Planning Department by May 7th, 2025. Existing sewer easement for the Department of Public Works must be added to the subdivision plan. And for future development within the wetlands must receive a permit from NHDES and receive a conditional use permit should they decide they're gonna impact that wetland buffer. And then we just need the Mylar final plans 2 weeks prior to doing any work out there, so that we can record those. And then they would be subject to impact fees of $3,814.80 per dwelling unit. And we have our completion date. We push that out for 5 years as per the RSA, that they are exempt from any changes in the zoning ordinance for 5 years.
Okay. Any more questions? So if somebody's gonna make a motion to accept this, or to approve this, make sure you tell us why, so we can let the state know why, because they're watching closely.
Yes, they are. I'll make a motion to approve.
So, I'd just like to point out too that we have provided basic findings of fact. If you would like to adopt them, just if you read the motion to.
That's what I was gonna do, is read in a basic finding. I was just gonna make a motion to approve PL 2022-0097 SU, 28 Veterans Avenue, parcel identified on the staff report. To approve this application with the recommended conditions of approval as iterated in the staff report submitted to us by the planning department.
As well as the findings of fact.
Okay, as well as the findings of fact. Oh, yeah, with the findings of fact that there are all those consistencies, the variance, and the application and the subdependent were reviewed based on the technical review committee.
Okay, is there a second for that?
Second,
Amy seconded it, okay.
it's my thing.
Thank you, Amy. Any more discussion on this? Okay, everybody in favor, raise your hand, please. It's unanimous. No objections. Thank you very much, and thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
We can always hope for everybody.
Do you want that?
Many papers. Give me 1 second, I've lost my agenda.
This is Pine Street.
Okay, moving right along now to 7.3, PL 2024-0031 SU, 274 Pine Street. Proposed subdivision of the current parcel into 2 separate lots. I'll look for a motion to accept this. What I just read.
So moved.
So.
Second.
Okay, so we had Stacy make the motion, second. All in favor? Okay, just moving right along, is the applicant here? Come on up.
Evening.
We'll just give your name and
I
address.
was just gonna do that.
Thank you.
Dean Clark, DMC Surveyors, 22 New Hope Drive, Laconia.
Thank you, Dean.
And basically, it was just was a larger lot on Pine Street. Actually, it was the largest lot that was out there. We're subdividing it into 2 lots. Lot 2 already has an existing dwelling on it, which is going to be removed and put a new house on that site. And lot 1 is gonna be another new, it's got 2 garages on it right now. And we're gonna remove those garages and put a dwelling unit on that site. The recommendations for conditions of approval and all that, we agree with all of that. We had one question though on, I'll let Mr. Morissette asked that, which is on impact fees.
Good evening. For the record, I'm Kevin Morissette, the owner. I just wanted to clarify that the impact fee would only be on one lot because there is an existing house, well, there was an existing house, so that the impact fee is only, it should actually, it would be easier if we applied it to lot one, only because lot one, we need to go out and get the water and sewer in the street, where lot two, we're using the existing water and sewer lines. And if I build on lot one first, that's fine, I'll pay the impact fee, I won't say. So if we can tie it to that lot and just realize that there is only one impact fee, that would be great, thank you.
Seems very logical. Thank you. That's it?
Any questions?
Any questions? Go ahead.
I think my question might be more for Kevin. I had an abutter actually approach me, and he's very nervous that was gonna turn into rentals. Are you just doing two single-family?
Two single-family homes.
He's developed all, at
I
the
mean,
end of this, the cul-de-sacs that are at the end, those are all single-family, non-rental homes.
Right, that was his concern because of the neighborhood, and I did tell him if I had the opportunity, I would ask.
No, that's fine. They're gonna be single-family homes.
He likes selling them, he doesn't want the responsibility of rentals, which I don't blame him.
Perfect.
Anything else?
Okay, we'll stand by, because we could drag you back up there. if
Not a
needed.
problem.
Thank you. Public hearing on this? We'll open a public hearing on this at 7:07. I never closed the other one, but we'll just remember that it was closed. Anybody here would like to comment on this? Here we are.
Here we are, Brett Bellevue, 141 Lafayette. I just had to come up to say, you're all doing a great job. Stacy, you need to re-up, keep going. They're gonna miss you.
I'm using your letter.
I'm in a butter. Right now, as Kevin pointed out, they've demolished everything back there. Right now, it's just collecting the rainwater, big mud pit. So I'm actually here to support the subdivision. Don't know if I'll be able to say that for what they want to build out there, but I know Kevin, and I know they're gonna do the single family and stuff, so just wanted to say, come up here, say I'm supporting it, not raise any issues, except for Stacy leaving, and you're all doing great. Any questions for me?
When you coming back?
When you do. But don't hold me to that. That's off the
Your
record.
name's already been submitted.
Talked about, but not submitted. And I know what they say about me, so.
Okay, any questions? Okay, thank you very much for coming in, Brett. It's always good to see you. Okay, anybody else from the public? Okay, we'll close the public hearing at 7:08. And now, is there any discussion amongst the board?
Proposed legal size lots if they split it.
Say that.
They're legal size lots. Question
We'll ask
for
that with the staff.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes, the two lots would be conforming.
I drove by there, there's plenty, I remember what was there, I used to live on the neighboring street. It's consistent with the rest of the neighborhood. It's not gonna be any different than what's out there now once it's all, it is a big mud pit right now, but once it's all landscaped and done, you will always think there were two houses there.
Is that it for questions from the board? Does the staff have some commentary, please? You must.
No, we support the application. We have our recommended conditions highlighted on the staff report. I do want to emphasize that.
Could you read those, though, just for the public here?
Yeah, sure can.
Thank you.
Yep. Monumentation, a licensed land surveyor to submit statement that the proposed monumentation has been installed according to the approved plan. Plans must be revised to include the correct address, parcel number 447-184-12, and all utility connections for both lots. A revised site plan must be provided to the plan department by May 7th, 2025. Existing water service can be used, but all galvanized pipes must be replaced up to the service box. Water service boxes must be in working condition or replaced. A stainless steel rod and pin must be installed on the service box if not present. New water services to the additional lot must meet all Laconia Water Department specifications and be inspected and approved by the Water Department. Meter fees apply to the new lot, and the existing lot has rights to a 5/8 and 3/4 meter and MXU. Existing service, sewer service can only be used by one lot of the lots. This service must be cleaned and inspected. A copy of the inspection report must be provided to the Department of Public Works prior to issuance of a building permit. New sewer service must be installed for the other lot. This new service must be tied into the sewer main within the road. Final plans and Mylar must be reviewed and recorded by the Laconia Planning Department at least 2 weeks prior to commencing any site work. Additionally, a digital plan set and additional full paper plan set shall be provided to the planning department. Impact fees are assessed in the amount of $3,814 per dwelling unit and are due before issuing a certificate of occupancy. All impact fees assessed must be paid to the Laconia Planning Department at the time of issuance for each certificate of occupancy in accordance with RSA 634-39.
Okay, can I just interrupt here? But we know it's only one dwelling we're talking about.
Correct. So they would only be applicable to the one new lot, as identified by Mr. Morissette during his comments. And we have our completion date for all conditions shall be no later than May 7th, 2029. That's in accordance with the RSA for all, they'd be exempt from any zoning changes. So we pushed out their completion date to 2029.
All right, thank you for reading that, Mr. Director, because now it is in fact a matter of public record.
It sure is.
So thank you.
You are very welcome, sir.
Okay, is that it? Okay, any other questions? So, excuse me, so I would look for a motion to approve or not approve.
Make that motion with the amendment to the recommended conditions of approval as read, including, I'll make a motion to approve PL 2024-0031 SU on 274 Pine Street. I make that the approval includes the staff recommendations and findings of fact, recommended conditions of approval, that there is only one impact fee per new lot for the new lot, okay? So that would be the only change in the recommended conditions of approval as written in the staff report. Otherwise, as stated by Rob and read into the record.
Yeah, I just want to be sure we're meeting the mandatory rules from Concord by her stating just for the, she doesn't have to read those out.
I think we're fine with referencing them in the staff report.
Okay. I'll look for a second on that motion.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Amy. Any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand, please. And it was unanimous. Thank you very much, and thank you, gentlemen. Thank you again, Brett. It's hard for the committee.
Don't threaten us.
Okay, let's get on to the next one here. Come on, everybody. Did it again. Okay, we are now on 7.4 PL 202. I don't want to interrupt.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Okay, we'll start over again here. We are on 7.4 PL 2024-005 SU, PL 2024-006 CUP, PL 2024-0036 SP, PL 2024-0037 CUP, 711 Weirs Boulevard, Weirs Beach Glamping. Look for a motion to accept this. Gail?
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept PL.
You don't have to read it over again, I
Okay.
just read it.
I'll move to accept applications.
Just say 7.4, because I already read the whole thing.
Oh, all right,
Just for you.
yeah, on agenda item 7.4,
Okay.
as
Is
presented.
there a second? Last chance, Stacy.
As complete, I'm sorry, so that may.
Stacy, you seconding that? I see a smile. Okay, never mind. Vice Chair and seconded by Louis. Thank you. Okay, well, the gentleman come up, who's ever here for that?
Do you wanna vote on that?
Oh, I thought, well, yeah. I'm so excited about the second. All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you. If you could, just give your name and address, sir, that'd be great. Right into the
Evening.
mic.
For the record, Thomas Selling, 1315 Old North Main Street, Laconia. Here with me, also is the property owner, Kevin Hayhurst, 20 Shane Way in Laconia. This evening, we have both a subdivision application and a site plan application. We're asking to subdivide the lot into a total of 13 lots. There'll be 12 additional lots created, roughly a quarter acre along Weirs Boulevard. All of the house lots along Weirs Boulevard will be serviced by city water, sewer, and electric. And due to the topography of the land and the capacity of the fire flows for your water system in Weirs Beach, the campground, which is gonna be one on the remaining parcel after the subdivision's created, that will be serviced by private water. There's a well on the property, city sewer, and at this point, we intend to install underground electric per your ordinance. This evening, there's some discussion about transformers, which is a little bit new to me as to the time on that. Suffice it to say, we intend to follow your rules. The back parcel, the remaining parcel after the 12 lots are created, is roughly 25 acres. We're proposing 37 glamping campsites. These are 30-foot domes on a wooden deck, and in the center of the property would be a 70-foot dome to be used as a wedding dome or conference center. We've shown parking around that area. The parking would comply with your off-street parking requirements. The manufacturer of the center dome, we're calling the wedding dome, has a maximum capacity of 300 people for a buffet dinner and 250 people for a table arrangement. And you work through all the numbers. We're proposing 79 parking spaces, and the requirements are for 75. So we have a little bit more parking. Lot coverage in this area, this is CR zone, it's a maximum of 60%. We're proposing 24%. We have all the roads within the campground will be paved. We also have, there'll be a 24-foot wide road throughout the whole complex, and we've asked for a waiver on street grades. The existing driveway into the property varies between 12% and 22%, and we're proposing a steady grade from the existing alignment to 12.5%. Once you get on that grade, it's a steady grade up to the top where it plateaus out. And there's some concern and feedback from TRC and is likewise with the fire department. So we agreed to install a second access road, a paved road to the east side of the property for emergency fire equipment access only. The fire department approved of that as well. We have other conditions with respect to fire. The dome, the wedding dome has to be sprinkled. The individual camp domes have to be have smoke and fire alarms. That concludes my initial opening remarks. I could go on and on, but.
Well, you probably might want to mention your request for a waiver on sidewalks.
Yes. We've discussed this with the DPW director, Mr. Wes Anderson, and he gave us a verbal concurrence. He would accept the petition for the waiver on sidewalks. He doesn't want any more sidewalks.
Yeah,
on
we're
Weirs Boulevard.
aware of
Almost,
Mr.
that was almost
Anderson's.
a direct quote.
Yep.
All right. I went through an inventory of the sidewalks down through there, and there's, less than 10% of the road, it's about 7-point-something% of the road has sidewalks, and they're sparse, there's no logical nexus. I love that, as to where they are. They seem to be random. Over the years, the board had the it was somewhat mandatory the sidewalks be put in, and then we created, or you folks created a sidewalk construction fund, which got money channeled to other places where sidewalks could be connected, and they were logical that they be jointed, and they bring pedestrians or bicycles to and from a point, whereas Boulevard, they're disjointed. There's no
Right, that's the whole point of this, is to get it jointed.
Right.
Not
And so
disjointed.
across the street from this property, there's about a 500-foot sidewalk. And the northerly section, I've got plans on, you have plans in front of you, I also have plans, we could point this out. Across the street, in front of Sunset Bay, and there's another condominium across the street there, extends there. So, we don't believe a sidewalk is warranted where you're gonna have single-family homes along Weirs Boulevard, and at best, you're gonna see little spots of sidewalk, and then a driveway, and then a sidewalk, and then a driveway, and maybe some landscaping. So, I don't know aesthetically if that appeals to the city or not, but we wanna try to keep it at least impact as possible. And as far as sidewalks on Weirs Boulevard, have no connection to the campground, because the campground folks are gonna be up on the hill, they're gonna be attending a conference or wedding, and enjoying the scenery and the views up there. And so,
No, I get all
No,
that. I'm not sure that
Yeah.
fits the reason why the city wants sidewalks, or to have that in there, but I understand your point of view.
Can
I
you
just
walk
wanted to
us
hear
through
it.
the site plan? I just wanna understand this a little bit better.
You wanna do what?
Can you walk us through the site plan?
Can you walk through the site plan there? Sure.
So, again, the 12 lots are created along Weirs Boulevard. We've got the access road that I discussed here. It goes up to these various paved roads to these campsites up in here. And here in the center is the wedding dome, as I referred to. Adjacent to that is the parking. There's an observatory and the wedding cabin in this area. Also, I talked about the emergency fire access road, which would be down in this section between these two lots. There'd be easements across the property here for, temporary placement of the emergency access road for fire equipment access only. It'd be gated at both ends, so that it wouldn't be part of the.
So that road is gated, the emergency
The emergency road would be gated. It'd just be a crash gate for the fire department.
a crash gate?
Yeah, well, where they,
Couldn't they have some sort of, something that they have access to open
have
it up
access
without
to a key.
crashing it in? Okay, good. That sounds better.
What's the average grade on the access road?
This here is 12.5% to approximately here, and then it flattens out to 3% and 2% along here. This is a steady 9% grade. So this complies with your city code, and tonight we're asking for consideration or waiver on street grades under your subdivision ordinance. This could be no more than 8% for the minor roads. Again, it'll be a private street. The fire department said they could travel that, but they prefer obviously something a little bit less of a grade there in case there's a fire situation here or icy conditions. And they have no problem negotiating a 9% grade. So it's roughly 3 to 4% in here, and then in here it's just a steady 9% grade that meets up to this cul-de-sac. One of the things that's unique about this is there's a section in the zoning ordinance dealing with low-impact development. And one of the requirements of low-impact development is obviously protection of natural resource, but also multiple separate detention ponds. I've got underground storage here, I've got a detention pond here, a detention pond here, likewise here, and then this is an underground retention pond, which I've used throughout the city, where the water then percolates underneath the parking lot and is not transferred to surface water. That's how the drainage is handled. Again,
So can I just stop you right there? So in your mind, all the precautions you've just listed are gonna handle all the runoff up there?
that's correct. Yeah. By way of your drainage, stormwater management protocol, as well as the alteration of terrain permitting requirements with the state, we're addressing both concerns, and there'll be no greater discharge in the future scenario as there is in the existing conditions today. And that's, the calculations have been reviewed at DPW, and they're likewise under review, or will be under review for the alteration of terrain permit.
That's such a tall order to meet. When I think of going along Weirs Boulevard, which I do dearly, and I think of all the places, and I'm sure a lot of the public and people at this table have seen places along the boulevard where every time we have even moderate rain, never mind snow melt, and it comes right down, right onto Weirs Boulevard, pools in quite often in a lot of areas, and Public Works would know more than anywhere, they have to constantly put down large loads of salt or sand because of that runoff freezing.
Both myself and my clients have heard loud and clear concerns from TRC, and more specifically from the Department of Public Works, with the concern with construction drainage protocol. And I believe that the design of the detention ponds are such that they can be used during construction to divert any water during construction, so long as they're stabilized first, obviously. But we're gonna work closely with DPW to phase the construction so that no area gets developed that doesn't have a stable detention pond to go into. So it works hand in hand. This isn't gonna be just wholesale, just, clear all the trees and just have at it and have a crew out here and a crew down here. This is gonna be well thought out plan. He wants a stormwater, a construction stormwater plan. In addition, I have the federal requirement. So I've got the town requirement for a drainage plan. I've got the state requirement for an AOT plan, and I have a federal requirement for something called the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System permit. And I have to do weekly inspections, or the construction person has to do weekly inspections for all the stormwater and erosion control and sediment control measures that are installed in the place. That report gets copied to all the various departments that I've just listed. And then if there's an issue, the owner and the contractor have 7 days to rectify, unless it's an emergency situation, they have 48 hours. So it's one of the most, when you do land development in New England, you have the town, the state, and the feds watching what happens during construction for stormwater management.
Well, I get that during construction. I guess my concern would be after all the construction's done and the units are going up and something's not working right, we're still having a water problem. I'll look to you, Rob. Is that something where the city can say, geez, you know what? What you've done here is not working. Can somebody then be forced to fix it so it does work? Or do they just walk away and say, act of God? Not that you would do that.
Yes, the city has so much control that we can do something depending on what the situation and whether it's in compliance with their approved plans and.
Or if it wasn't enough.
I think we would have to, I would have to confer with DPW on how we would manage that. And I think that's one of our largest concerns with this project is the stormwater management and the runoff. If you look at our staff review for this, we have a number of items highlighted that are concerns for us. And part of that is we want it to go back to TRC for some additional review for drainage.
Okay, I guess, because these 100-year storms aren't 100 years apart anymore. They seem to be summer to summer almost, so I just, the experts all plan for this stuff, but it
Yeah.
turns out that their planning is outdated sometimes.
I may.
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you for walking us through the site plan. I'm just curious, the dark rectangles that appear on the site plan, are those part of the storm management
Oh, this
system?
stuff?
Yeah, all those dark rectangles.
That's just the masking the computer. It didn't turn off. It's actually it's a notation about the pole number on the telephone poles.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like some underground water storage or
It
something.
turned off. I apologize. Also, speaking of, one thing that just occurred to me, because there's no water supply up here from the municipal standpoint, we've also added 4 cisterns. The fire department
That's what the-
approved on
the-
that. The blue are the cisterns,
okay,
yeah.
thanks.
10,000-gallon cisterns.
Go ahead, Amy.
So I remember when you came for your conceptual, and I trust me, I love the idea. When you came for the conceptual, I remember the concern with DPW and, I believe this board, was all the driveways coming out onto that corner, of Weirs Boulevard. And I had thought that that road that is behind the private houses, not up in the hills, but the one that takes a sharp left there, that was going to be their access road.
We're gonna do our best, given the topography, to use this as the main driveway or road to driveway access to these. Again, this is just a depiction. The plan that we submitted had a townhouse plan, but there's been so much feedback from TRC that the architectural plans could change, and then we could bring a garage on top of the unit as opposed below the unit, which would make more sense. We'd have access off of, this is actually called Brack's Way, have the driveways off of this to reduce that. We also did a traffic impact assessment, and we did line of sight survey with myself and the surveyors, improved. The minimum required is 300 feet, and we're at 306 or 307 feet, so we're right on the margin, but we do meet the recommendations for a safe site distance. And we'll do our best, and like I said, go back and amend the architectural plans and put the garage on top and get access to the north.
So if, let's say you don't do that, will you still have that access road? And what would it be for?
You're talking about this access road?
Yep.
This is gonna be a road, to service the well, as well as, we're going to do our best to use this road to driveway access to these lots, and possibly this one. It gets really steep through here, and we could theoretically have a driveway access to these lots as well. But it not only provides access to the north side of the lot, there's an existing sewer that was installed before my client, the property owner, bought the property. If you follow this line like this, it's sort of zigzag, this municipal sewer right to this point today. And as the construction of the new water main was going in Weirs Boulevard last summer, we paid for a water stub in this area. So we're bringing water into the property on the back side of these lots to minimize utility cuts on Weirs Boulevard. So we're gonna do our best to get water to the back as well as sewer in these lots. And then over here, the water and sewer is such that we'll have to make limited cuts across Weirs Boulevard in these locations.
So your plan is still to have an individual driveway for each one of those places? Exit and exit onto?
Yeah, it's just, we will look really hard at getting a driveway that could be used in common to several of these lots if we can. I've just depicted, based on, the initial architectural rendering, and I've proven that there's a safe site distance there for people coming on and off. So by rights, and I think I've proven that they could do that, we're gonna do our best to get driveway access off of that north road.
Well, if it was up to me, and I'm only one person, and I don't normally vote anyway, I would say no to having all those driveways. The site thing be darned, because I'm thinking, it's a two-lane road there, and I'm thinking about people stopping to make left turns. I'm thinking about people getting impatient in the summertime. Granted, in the wintertime, there's not a lot of traffic, but we all know how much traffic there is up there, literally from Memorial Day to Labor Day, and then weekends after that. I can't think of a worse scenario on that curve right there. I really can't. I'm just speaking for myself. I want you to know that. But I'm just saying, I can't, we just have, it's just too much on that curve, in my opinion. For those things, I just, it's just too much. That's just my opinion, but I've said, go ahead.
Do you plan on plowing the roads all the way up to the glamping sites all winter long?
That's correct. Yeah, it'd be a year-round operation.
So you'll provide snow removal for all those driveways if they come
They're
off?
gonna be individual, excuse me, they're gonna be individual property owners that would deal with snow removal themselves.
Except for that road?
Except for the road. This road becomes the access road for the campground, and likewise, there'll be, they have to keep the fire road is plowed as well.
Will they plow the little cul-de-sac as well?
Yes, the end of the cul-de-sac would be the snow storage area, both in this location, at the end here. This is a hammerhead location because of the topography, we had to make it a hammerhead. And likewise here, snow removal, snow deposit would be off to the northeast corner there.
Rob, I got a question for you. Is this a project that should require a third-party assessment?
That is DPW's recommendation, is that this project go for a third-party review for drainage to make sure it meets our requirements. And DPW had some concerns with the two culverts at the end of the property and where they were tying into the abutters next door or across the street, and whether those flows would be more or less, even though there is, they have shown that there's a decrease in stormwater runoff. If those peaks are now at those what word am I looking for? 2 points would actually have increased, even though there was a net decrease in overall stormwater runoff, because there's already a stormwater issue at that site. And DPW, so the system already, that private system there is already overwhelmed. We don't want to overwhelm it more than what it is. But we recognize that we can't correct the private system across the street, but we want to at least try to mitigate the issues that it's seeing right now. So that's why DPW has requested that third-party review.
And the other thing is with an AOT permit and all that, will the state require a full-time person to monitor SWIP?
So because this is a precautionary and a prohibitive steep slope, in the city ordinance, we require a third-party engineer of our choice to be out there every day during construction at the developer's cost.
Do you have a timeline when you want to start this work?
That's really subject to completion of the AOT permitting process. I've had one pre-app meeting. We're still moving forward. They're aware of the plan. We just have to make fine adjustments and comply. They put a whole bunch of new rules in September last year that I've got to comply with. And a year before that, there were another set of rules that they had amended. So there's quite a bit of new information that comes out of, or it's part of an AOT process.
Go ahead, Gail.
I want to ask a couple of questions about the glamping portion.
Sure.
You're building a dome, right?
It's a dome on a wooden deck.
A dome on a wooden deck. And how many, how big, how many people do you expect to accommodate with that for a wedding?
These are one-bedroom domes, 30-foot diameter.
Oh, I thought you're having a wedding venue. I'm talking about the wedding venue.
Wedding venue right there, yes.
Okay, how many, if you're gonna have a wedding, how many people?
The manufacturer's recommendation is no more than 300 people for a buffet dinner.
Okay, where are those 300 people gonna park?
There's 79 parking spaces within a few hundred feet of the dome, and we're required to have 75.
Okay, and they're one access for a wedding is going to be into that area,
That's correct.
and then when that wedding is over, then it's going to be coming down that road and going back out
That's correct.
into that area, and you could expect up to legally 300 people. Presumably, there'll be liquor licenses, bands, catering, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right?
Correct.
Okay. What provisions, how is soundproof on a scale from 1 to 10? I mean, I know there's gonna be some sound quality there. I don't think, it is what it is, but most of the bars in that area, with the exception of the Naswa, which has been grandfathered for 100 years, are mostly inside. How late do you propose to operate?
Wasn't that inside anyway for the music?
It's
It's
inside.
in the middle of the woods too.
But isn't it inside?
Yeah.
It's under
Inside.
the dome,
It's
the music.
inside.
That's what I'm saying. I've never dealt with a dorm. I've dealt with enclosed
Yeah.
structures
No,
and,
it's an
and
enclosed
soundproofing
structure.
and things like that.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about how soundproof
I'm
this
not an
dome is.
acoustical engineer, and all the literature I have from the Dome Company, there's no mention of acoustics. There's, as far as I understand, there's no plan to do concerts up here. This is just a wedding venue, you know, a small little band with a wooden dance floor. People could dance and enjoy
A
themselves.
DJ
for a
or
wedding.
something like that. Well, I guess what I'm concerned about is noise after, we have noise ordinances, but I don't know how they really apply in
The
Weirs.
city code, it's 10 PM, correct?
10 PM.
We'd comply with the city ordinance.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to know. I've never dealt with a dorm. I've
Yeah,
dealt with
I
a number of
understand.
music venues, but never really soundproofing in a
This
dorm.
could be a chance.
Well, that's why I'm asking the question. I don't know. I don't know how soundproof or what other people you're selling single-family homes down below that. That's gonna be your problem to explain to them that there's a 300-unit wedding venue just up the driveway, not mine. But I'm curious to know about how you're going to control sound and traffic on the evenings that you have these events. That's just a concern I have.
I just, again, this is just me talking, but as somebody who uses that road all the time, and the applicant well knows the traffic there, I wish you had another means of egress from the backside. So not everybody
We'll
would
look
have
very
to.
strongly at that, and it's gonna entail a change in the architectural drawing. It's not impossible. You put the garage on top, and you make this thing a 3-story.
No, I'm talking about for the venue up top there, that instead of all coming back down the hill to Weirs Boulevard, they could also go back out the other way.
Yeah.
Onto White Oaks Road, just to kind of lighten that.
We did the traffic impact assessment.
Yeah.
The weddings here are gonna be weekends. They're gonna let out at approximately 10 o'clock, 10:30, and nobody leaves a wedding, or 75 cars aren't gonna leave the wedding at once. There's the first wave, and then the second wave, and then the stragglers.
I feel like the city's been victimized by traffic studies before, so with all due respect to whoever put it out there, or traffic impact, as you say.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to look at it from all different angles.
We feel it's a low impact. Again, we're talking 1.4 units per acre up here for a campground. We were at the zoning board a month ago, and they were talking about astronomical
Yeah, the
density.
campgrounds, and I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
That's very
So
low use.
with the wedding venue, I believe, and the report bears it out, that it's not gonna be 300 people or 75 cars all trying to get out of that intersection at once.
Go ahead.
Is there any possibility that main road that's going up, that could be a one-way, and then everybody just leave out the,
White
what's
Oaks
now
Road.
the access, the 5 access way?
The emergency access.
Yeah, the emergency
You know,
access.
We're
Can
not
actually become-
opposed to that.
I think that would alleviate some of the traffic concerns that's been raised. If it's just one way going in,
Yeah.
and then
Would that be a hardship?
I don't believe so. The only hardship is that it's built for a fire road.
Part of the whole concept is people coming to the wedding is staying in the domes, not leaving. So it's like when you book a hotel for like a wedding, where they block off rooms, we'd be trying to do something similar. So if we had a wedding party some weekend, we'd want the party to take, say, this street and have access there. So also the parking will be here, but I don't plan on them all leaving at once. I
No,
try,
no, and I
I try
get
to
that.
get them, I want them to all stay as a package
Sure.
and take each, you know.
And that makes perfect
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, we can't control for that.
But-
People,
but-
especially in Laconia, people are gonna wanna go around. Like you
Yeah,
said.
I'm just thinking, Kevin, that any way we can mitigate traffic coming back out onto Weirs Boulevard to make that right turn or the left turn, to kind of push it back to a controlled intersection, whether it's at the end of White Oaks Road up on 11B, or as weak as it is, White Oaks Road on Lake Street. That's just my thought on that. Any way we can mitigate.
Yeah, no, I understand. I just was trying to tell you, I'm trying to contain as many people.
No, and I'm not,
I want to
yep,
have them.
I'm not questioning that at all. Again, I'm just trying
Could
to
I put a-
mitigate that.
Could I put a proposal on the table?
Sure.
Barring any other concerns and so forth, if we stayed with the configuration as is, and if there's feedback from the neighbors as opposed to traffic congestion here, we would then look at opening this road up for egress only during a wedding venue.
I'm not as concerned about the neighbors, quite frankly, because they're not the only ones using Weirs Boulevard. So my concern is for all the people on the road.
Yeah.
But as far as, I'm just thinking out permanently. I like Lewis's commentary about making that one way. Again, if you're gonna open it up temporarily, why not just have it open all the time?
Exactly.
And that way you don't have to worry about having a crash gate or anything like that. The fire department would just know that.
I'm
we're
not
doing-
opposed to it. It's gonna be constructed to hold the fire truck vehicles, so it certainly could pass,
And that'll be paved, right?
It'll be paved, correct.
It seems like a win-win situation for that particular situation.
We could theoretically cut the congestion here by half or more. People going south would go this way, people going north, turn right, off they go. I don't have any problem with that.
Make that one way up, like Louis said, and then use the egress for the other way, right? Or the
Why?
other.
Have them
No,
up
it's a
and come down.
24-foot wide road. I'd
Go
like
up.
to keep, just for safety, I'd like to keep two 12-foot lanes there, and then this be a
The more
dedicated
people we keep off
one-way
Weirs
out.
Boulevard, the better.
They're coming on to Weirs Boulevard. It's coming out
No,
of
they're
the way.
coming at a controlled intersection. That driveway is not a controlled intersection.
Nor was the other one.
The aesthetic
Yeah,
appeal
there's-
is,
there's
when you come
stop
up the
signs there.
driveway, you're gonna be looking at this.
And you have to, there's a stop sign at the end of White Oaks Road there.
This
There
not
will
going
be a
on White
stop
Oaks,
sign
this is
on-
coming back on Weirs
You're
Boulevard.
gonna be looking at some
It's just
view
there are
like this,
two
so
driveways on
it's
Weirs
the, oh my
Boulevard.
I thought
gosh.
that access road was going back on the
No.
White Oaks Road. Okay, I stand corrected then.
Yeah.
Where does that come back out on Weirs Boulevard?
That's pretty much across from the pub, Chris's Island.
Okay.
Well, if nothing else, it kind of spreads it thin, I guess. It's just,
Can we put a requirement in that they need a police detail anytime they have an event there, much like Meadowbrook does?
I was thinking the same
Not
thing.
that
I don't know
big,
if we
though.
can do
But
that.
it's only 300
It's not
people.
that. It's 75 cars total.
yeah, I don't
At the
think that
max.
really,
That's if
At
they're
the-
not staying.
At the
Right.
back.
That really
And
doesn't
that's the people who
alleviate it.
aren't staying.
alleviate it. It's just,
10-minute in and out.
Yeah, because not everybody that goes to the wedding is probably going to have one of those glamp sites, correct?
Correct. There'll be visitors that'll come for the wedding only, and then
Right.
there'll be renters that are making it a multi-day
I thought
experience.
that went back to the White Oaks Road. Okay,
Do you abut White Oaks Road?
No.
I didn't think so. So that's not an option.
too bad.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Any other questions or commentary for the applicants? Okay, thank you, both. Stand by though, of course. We'll open up the public hearing now at 7:49 for this project. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak to this? Come on up.
Good evening, Board. Paul Goslin, 776 Weirs Boulevard. Before I begin, I'm just going to throw this part out. I spent 7 years serving on a planning board in a different town. Thank you for what you guys do. It's a miserable and thankless experience. So I just want to say, I can sympathize with what you guys face.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Having thrown that out there, there's two real concerns that I have from an abutter standpoint, and my house is across the street from where this is located. One of the first concerns I have, and this gets into, and I believe your town staff had referenced this as well, DPW looking at getting a third-party consultant to review the stormwater discharge. Where this becomes more complicated from a stormwater discharge standpoint, and I discussed this with Wes before as well, so Wes is kind of up to speed on what I'm going to say. When you look across the street, you get into, I'm going to try not to turn that way because I think I'll lose the microphone. When you look across the street, you get into, I believe it's Holiday Bay.
Just go ahead and show us, that's fine.
I was gonna say, it's not represented on this side, but you get into where Holiday Bay is, then there's some condos, then there's Sunset Bay. Sunset Bay is a big detention pond in front of it. My house is actually down a hill next door to Sunset Bay. Now, what is maybe not well known, all of that drainage exits through a pipe coming out of my retention wall into the lake. And that pipe goes up to a small detention pond on the corner of my property. That detention pond is connected to the detention pond at Sunset Bay. Sunset Bay's detention pond is then connected to the condos after that. That is connected all the way back to Holiday Bay. So if they talk about a reduction in overall water coming off of the site, that's good. It's great if we can reduce the water coming off of the site. But there's two components to that water coming off of the site in terms of reduction. One component is overall reduction. Right now, water comes off of that site more or less wherever nature intends it to go. Once they do this drainage and this configuration, in looking at their plan, and I don't have it memorized, but I'll probably be pretty close. If I recall correctly, Detention Pond 2 and Detention Pond 4 are both draining into existing wetlands. Looks like it's a settling pond. It goes through, gets the sediment out, puts clean water into a wetland. It's a fairly common item. Detention Pond 3 looks like it collects the water, discharges through a pipe down to Detention Pond 5. Detention Pond 5 looks like it connects through a pipe in a culvert under the road and goes into the drainage across the street, which would then go into the neighboring property, to the neighboring property, to the Sunset Bay detention pond, to the detention pond on my property, out into Lake Winnipesaukee. And so one of the requests that I would have, if you're gonna do that, in terms of looking at the mitigation of the water runoff, is to have a third-party consultant come in, have that third party validate that, and part of that validation should be a pre and post installation review where they measure the water flow that goes into that area, specifically the culvert going under the road into the Holiday Bay area, measure it pre-construction, you measure it post-construction. The engineers can tell you the appropriate frequency and how that's done. It has to do with stormwater events and so forth. I am not an engineer. But the engineers can tell you how they do that appropriately, and then you will have concrete factual information that shows that water flow has not been impacted or increased into those drainage areas. Because if you increase that drainage the way it's going, what it ends up doing is it floods my property, might not flood Sunset Bay because their pond is pretty deep, could flood the condos beyond that, and so forth down the road. And so it is an already impacted and somewhat overburdened water system, and it's pre-existing. It was put in, and again, I'd have to look back at the records, and honestly, the records are kind of sketchy when I looked at them with DPW about 10 years ago, because some of this is stuff that was done in the 1920s and 1930s. So, you know, we're talking about 90 to 100-year-old drainage systems when most of this area wasn't developed, when most of this area wasn't built, and where we certainly didn't have a higher and more intensive usage that we have today. So I would ask that you do everything you can to alleviate those drainage problems, because I don't want to be dealing with flooding for the rest of my natural life on my property because someone else poured water down through a ancient drainage setup. The second component I was going to make in terms of traffic, living on Weirs Boulevard since I was, I don't know, born, I guess. Leaving my driveway during the summertime in particular, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, even if I'm going to, say, Meredith, I'm often taking a right on Weirs Boulevard and then taking a left on White Oaks, because for me to try to get through that line of traffic and actually be able to take a left turn, for the 10 minutes I sit at the end of my driveway, it's honestly faster to turn a right on Weirs Boulevard, turn left on White Oaks, turn left on Endicott, and go through the traffic circle to get to Meredith. I would not want to try to back my car out of my driveway onto Weirs Boulevard with that traffic. And so I think traffic is a concern that you should be cognizant of. The other item that I wanted to bring up, and this again ties into traffic, I understand they're looking at their driveway. I know they're talking 75 cars. I know the engineer said, you know, weddings get out at 10 at night, the traffic's not very busy and so forth. Just as a simple note, and I understand times have changed and things have changed, but when I got married, our reception started at 1 in the afternoon and our reception ended at 4. And when I was at my wedding, all 200 plus of our guests got there at 1, left there at 4.
4 p.m. or
4
a.m.?
p.m.
4 p.m.
4 p.m. And so the statement that the wedding will end at 10 p.m. and there's not a whole lot of traffic at that time, traffic does slow down by 10 p.m., but it's reasonable to anticipate somebody's going to have a wedding or conference or other event that will end at 4 in the afternoon on a Saturday or a Sunday. And we all know what Weirs Boulevard's like in the summer. And again, all due respect to the property they're building, it looks like it could be an interesting project. I don't know many people who are going to go camping and get married in January. I think most people who are going to want to go and use the site are going to be using it more in the spring, the summer, and the fall, which are also the peak traffic times. So with that, along with my recommendation on having a consultant related to water, I'd also recommend you consider having an outside traffic consultant come in so that they can do independent traffic calls, traffic counts, they can do an independent traffic study. And one of the items that I think you should ask that consultant to at least consider, when you're looking at an egress coming out of this property, coming down this driveway, most people leave the wedding at the same time. Let's even say a third of them leave early. So you're stacking 50 cars there. Stack 50 cars there on a Saturday afternoon and see how fast they can turn right and left on a Weirs Boulevard to get out of that. I would not want to be the 50th car in that line.
So I have a question. What do you think about if they have the independent driveways on those homes along the curb right there?
I think two pieces.
Out onto Weirs Boulevard.
Yeah, I think two pieces. And I guess I'll share this with you as well for kind of fairness and full disclosure. I own commercial real estate. I'm a real estate developer. I'm a general contractor, so I deal with these kind of projects. So if it was me, I'd be looking at it saying, you want a road behind all the houses. You don't want to driveway any of those curb cuts on Weirs Boulevard from a life safety standpoint and ease of access standpoint. The other component to consider when you're looking at this, and I'm looking forward, someone chooses to buy one of these house lots. Weirs Boulevard's posted no parking. All the way up and down Weirs Boulevard's posted no parking. So you get all excited, you buy your lake house, you've got a difficult lot to build a house on because of the ledge involved, you've got a short driveway, and you got Weirs Boulevard where you cannot have any on-street parking, and it's fairly strongly enforced. I've seen the state police out there towing people. So if you have a back road that also provides an ability for people to actually park, which is not on Weirs Boulevard, so whoever owns those homes could actually have guests. And then in terms of a 2-driveway solution, if you did a 2-driveway solution, and in particular when it's time for an exit, if you had a right-hand exit only, left-hand exit only, at least theoretically, you're splitting the exiting traffic almost 50-50. You can also give relatively easy direction where if you're taking a right, you're going through the traffic circle, going up Endicott, you get to Patrick's, you take a right, you get to the highway. It's not that much of a further drive than if you try to exit through the left. So you could try to encourage people more to go towards the right, towards where the traffic circle is, which was all redesigned to accommodate a larger volume of traffic, and minimize what you're doing with left-hand turns into what's already a high volume traffic, especially during the holiday type season, or the summer holidays, I should say. So again, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a traffic study guy.
Yeah, but you live there. That's
Well, I live there and I've done work like this for close to 20 years now, so I'm kind of giving you what my opinion would be if it was my project.
Does anybody have any questions for the gentleman from the public?
I would have one, just because you seem to know, you have some experience in this. Would you recommend for the 12 houses along that road that you've recommended, the back road?
Yeah.
Would you recommend some sort of a guest parking
for the 12 houses?
Setup?
For the 12 houses, I would recommend the back road. As far as guest parking goes, personally, I would suggest it's probably a good concept, because if those are Seasonal houses, then they're gonna have guests up for the summer. If those are year-round houses, again, everybody's family and life is different, but I'd have a hard time having Thanksgiving for my family and being able to park one car in the driveway. So you might need to have some additional parking available when people have events, and we all celebrate something at one point or another where we invite people over. So those would be a couple of the concerns that I would have. The last item, I'll just touch on this one really quickly. When you brought up noise, I can tell you where I live, we're half a mile, if not more than that, from the NASWA. And I can sit on my deck on Friday night and listen to the NASWA bands. Sound carries significantly in that area. I have sat on my deck before and listened to the neighbors across the lake having an argument. So
But to be fair, that's on water.
that is on water, and I agree, and I know that this is up much higher. Just going by the topo, it's probably up 80 to 100 feet higher
That's really
than
different.
Weirs Boulevard, and we're down below it. So I'm not saying it's going to be a huge noise issue, but I would suggest if you've got, for example, the town's noise ordinance is 10 p.m., that you just make sure that it's enforced, that
Well,
the ordinance is
and
complied
it's
with.
just a matter of somebody picking up the phone to complain.
Right. So those are really kind of my two big concerns. I'm not here to be pro or anti-development, but I've got real concerns about the water runoff because of the negative impact it could have to the other abutters. And again, from a traffic standpoint, I've lost count of how many times a year I hear screech, bang, and then sirens up my driveway. And I don't think we want to add to that as a statistic. Thanks all.
Thank you for coming in, appreciate your commentary.
Thanks
Um, Okay, is there anybody else from the public that would like to come forth? Let's see behind there, just the one gentleman. Okay, we'll close the public hearing at 8:02 PM. Okay, so discussion now, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I'm gonna have one more question, and maybe it can be answered by staff, or maybe I could ask the applicant to come back up, I don't know yet.
Well, go ahead and ask the
For these 12
question.
houses, is it gonna be an HOA, or are they just individual homes with no?
I plan on retaining the houses. I don't plan on selling them at all.
I'm sorry?
I don't plan on selling the houses at all. I plan on building myself and retaining them. I'm gonna keep the houses. I'm not selling them.
Oh,
So they're gonna be-
I'm
they're gonna be-
developing and I'm keeping them.
So they're gonna be, are they gonna be rental houses?
Yes,
or
they're
are
So
they
that
gonna
you're
be-
gonna rent the house?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Are they gonna be Airbnb
So
houses?
this is
or-
part of the reason this road was here is I'm gonna build myself a house here at the end, and I wanted access to this, is why that. Yes, I'm gonna Airbnb those, so say if someone does wanna have a wedding, and, you know, the younger crowd wants to stay in the domes, but not like an older couple, I was gonna build duplexes here where I can house, you know, if there's an older couple that doesn't wanna stay in the domes, they can stay.
Okay.
And they can rent this. It's all wanna be contained as one project, really. I'm not selling off those houses.
Oh, okay, and would it be possible, if you look at your design, and again, I'm not an engineer either, to set aside some sort of an additional parking area?
I mean, I would love to have this, the problem is the topography here, it's all individual, so I plan on taking each site individually as I go and build the house.
Get your engineer here, I'm just
As
curious.
I go and build a house, I would like to have access to that.
I mean, and I'm only gonna say this because I sat on the zoning board for 6 years, and one of the biggest complaints as a city that we have gotten about any kind of rental property, short-term rental or whatever, it's allowed in that zone, I'm not gonna speak against that, is that parking becomes a problem.
Correct.
And you don't seem in those 12 houses to have accounted.
Well, I mean, it's partially
that.
why this road is back here. It's to keep everything off of Weirs Boulevard. I'd love to have every house come out this way, but I mean, topography, if we get to it and the best access is Weirs Boulevard, I don't plan on all these houses exiting here.
You know, well, how many do you plan on having?
Like I said, it's gonna have to be the topography, we're gonna have to, as situation, I mean, they're all conforming lots, so as we come into a lot, if it makes the most sense to come this way, then I'm gonna do my best to bring them back onto this Brax Road here.
And so how many cars would each driveway provide? You by statute, I think you need to apply 1.5
Right, 1.5,
parking spaces per statute, but if you're using that for a quasi-commercial short-term rental thing, I would just see, I'm just asking a question, if you could look at additional parking for that area.
So I have a
because of the
question, let's just say somebody has 5 guests with 5 different cars. Will they have access to parking up on the top and they can walk
Absolutely.
down?
Yeah, this will all be contained, yes, absolutely. They'll have the parking, these each have 2 minimum each site, then you'll have another additional 79 up here,
Yeah, there's gonna be plenty of parking.
So their guests would be forced to park up there.
They could park wherever, yes.
Yeah, so you'd only allow maximum of what, 2 cars per unit, really?
Well, on those steeper sloping lots in this section, we do our best to get a minimum of 2, but we're gonna have to do site-specific little site plans for each of those lots. We'll try for a third or fourth parking space, but we got 25% slopes, and the max grade on the driveway is about 10%, so you gotta bring the house up, so you're not fighting that grade. That's
A tough,
what's
a
gonna
tough
happen
place
here.
for this development,
The
without a doubt.
architectural plan is gonna be flipped over, the garage will be on top.
Anybody else while he's still standing there? Are they both still standing there? So we can sit down. We'll call you back if need. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Okay, so, are there any other questions or?
For the applicant.
Well, I'm
For
curious
the
to
stuff.
the question he raised, like, what's the loss in adding, an exit point on the other end of that, yeah, where those 12, where those 12, houses are? What if you added an outlet on the top end?
The driveway's on the.
Yeah, I know.
If I
He'd
came-
have to
came
lose
back down
one,
here.
of a-
Yeah.
I mean, is that a loss for you?
No, no.
I don't know what the benefit of it would be. If we got the exit here, we could go a whole circle here, I don't know what that would benefit.
Well,
Site distance. Site,
He's just talking about going over the road.
well, at that point, you could probably just make that a one-way, and then you do parallel parking on the street.
I mean, I don't really think that would do anything but disturb the residential houses here. We can go in and out here.
No, that's a solution for your parking issue. You'd have parallel parking on the street, and then but it's a one-way street where you just outlet. No?
Steep.
All set? Anything else?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
Well, you could.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Like
steep there,
You
yeah.
No.
You can jump back in. Is there anybody else while he's checking this out? We got Counselor Cheney.
My only concern is the exiting onto the boulevard. I spent enough years going to accidents there to know it
Yeah,
can't.
over here it's.
I don't believe it can stand exiting onto Weirs Boulevard. I like your road behind. I hope you could find a way to make all those properties go onto that road
Yeah, me
and
too.
then come out.
You're talking about added driveways is what you have the problem with?
Yeah, driveways on a Weirs Boulevard that we should avoid like bubonic plague.
That's I mean, obviously, that's the whole purpose of this road. I
Yeah.
mean, it's purposely to keep them off, yeah.
But I thought I heard you say topography would somehow.
My best case there would be all to come out on that road.
I would ask that be one of the conditions, that all houses have to exit onto internal roads.
So no driveways on
Yes.
Lakeside,
Yes.
on Weirs Boulevard?
except for there's lots.
Yeah, these are all fine though, right? I mean, there's,
You can't ask these lots to drive over here. These lots have to access onto
yeah,
Weirs Boulevard.
these are all fine,
But
right?
Those only
these
4,
8 lots
those.
here,
And the 2.
Wouldn't really be the 8, it would be, I think, so.
7, whatever.
Are you suggesting those two just to the right of your main road, or?
They're big enough.
No, no,
Yeah, these, I mean, there's no back access road behind here.
No, but there could be from those over to the left.
Well, this is wetlands.
That is, but
Yeah, I mean, I guess-
immediately to the left, right
I guess
there.
there could be a road there, yeah, I guess.
The two on the bottom right could go onto that road and come out that way,
common driveway.
yeah. Mr. Chairman, I would ask that we consider saying none of the lots can enter onto Weirs Boulevard.
I mean, these would have to, these are completely different. These are flat lots on the southerly end. I mean, they wouldn't, and there's no, I mean, you'd expect them to come all the way up and around.
No,
Just
come out
exit
this
out
way.
out that.
Well, these are on Weirs Boulevard.
I understand, but so is the road that the 8 houses or whatever.
This way?
Yeah, come out onto the road, and then come, and so
And
you only
then
have
come
two
out.
exits and entrances.
Listen, Kevin, there's gonna be other developments coming along Weirs Boulevard, and they're gonna face the same problem if they wanna start putting more exits on the road.
Oh, I get it.
There's many, I mean, it's just,
I tell you, I'm on board with you. I'd love to. I want them all coming out this way. I agree with you. I don't want to come out to Weirs Boulevard. I said I'm building myself a house right here, so I don't. Same thing. I purposely put this back here so I can access all of this. I don't want to come out to Weirs Boulevard.
Well, I think what they're saying, Kevin, is those other 4 lots could have their driveway apron on your access road,
Yeah, these could come in
rather
here, yeah.
than
Yeah, this could come here,
in there,
yeah.
to that road there, rather than directly onto Weirs Boulevard. That would seem feasible.
And that's what DPW was looking for as well?
I think DPW would prefer less driveway cuts on Weirs Boulevard, and that would probably mitigate their, some of their requests, for the line of sight issues. So, if that's something the board wants, I think we should definitely make that a condition of approval, on any iteration of the plan, moving forward.
what about this water situation? What
I
are you
think we should go
recommending?
back to TRC,
Third-party review.
right?
Say that again?
Well, we've proven that we're putting in less water in than they have now, so that's been proven. I mean, my engineer with his experience and his degrees, he's proven that we're letting less water into the system that's there now.
Did you actually finish with TRC? Like, everyone was good to go?
Yes.
DPW
We
was
met
good to go?
DPW, yes, we met with them during the week this week, yep.
Yep.
We've met with everybody.
We have a housekeeping list, if you will, things to address from the TRC meeting of April 14th, which it's essentially done. I've got to make a new submittal for the planning staff to review. I don't believe it warrants another TRC review, but if that's the wish of the board, we'll go back to TRC again. We've been there like 5 times, but we're gaining on it now.
Gaining on it.
That sounds painful.
Expensive.
Well, there has been some suggestion that a third-party review or a third party be engaged to look at this stormwater management plan. I mean, we're not hydrologists and so on.
I thought that was part of it already. I don't think that's a suggestion. Isn't that already?
That is
It
one of the
could be.
conditions that Wes has recommended is a third-party review.
Yeah, so. Is this something, is there enough work on this that it still needs to be done with some of the stuff that came up tonight? That it would be better to table it till the next meeting to, give the department more time to work all this stuff out, so we're not missing anything and we're not doing anything to the applicant that doesn't need to be done?
I don't think that's
agree,
what the
since you
issue
have things
is.
that you need to bring to the department.
That's that's what I was
I
gonna
agree.
say, is until that,
You've left to do.
that list gets to the planning department, I would support a delay in this.
That would be a table, but I'm asking you, Rob, what you think.
Yeah, I know. You want another.
Right now, I don't have the, from my perspective, Wes has still asked for the third-party review, so I can't, in good conscience, say that it shouldn't go back to TRC. I think until I get something from Wes Anderson saying that he was good with drainage, I would need to send it at least back, make the recommendation that it would go back to TRC. Wes did meet with them, and I was out there with them, but then Wes was also in my office today talking about he wanted a third-party review.
So you would recommend
So,
tabling this then?
I would recommend that we at least continue it until the next meeting so that I can validate with DPW that all their concerns have been met for the stormwater drainage.
Kevin, maybe this would give you some time to look at what you wanna look at to firm up.
I've been looking at it for
Haven't
2
had
years. I
responses.
mean, I don't know what the difference in another meeting's gonna be. That's my problem.
Well, I
is
don't
we've
know
done-
what they're gonna come up with.
I mean, we've met him on site, and I think with the third party and with everything, he was fine with it.
The table is not.
I completely agree with you, that was Wes's,
Hasn't been
but
made.
he was also in my office today
But
saying the
somebody
same
made
thing. And until I get something from him saying that he wants to remove that
City be in
condition,
favor of it.
I have to leave it on there.
Yeah, could we just
You wanna
leave the
make a
condition on
motion?
there?
No.
You can leave the condition on there, but it's gonna get reviewed at the AOT staff at DES. And then we're gonna have an independent party out there daily doing stormwater inspection. I'll be out there weekly doing, inspections. You know,
Yeah, but at that point, you're committed, so.
In good conscience, I can't approve this without knowing the things that you need to bring to the planning board.
So do you wanna make a motion?
I'll make the motion to continue this, until the June something meeting,
Fourth.
June
June
4th
4th.
meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded, let's continue the discussion on this.
No, it's
Can't
not
discuss a
debatable.
motion to table.
I didn't hear table, I only heard continue.
Which is tabled, kind of.
So, any more comment on that? Motion to continue?
It's the same thing as table, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I'd say table it, don't say continue.
Listen,
Okay, all those in favor to continue to the June 4th meeting, raise your hand, please. Okay, anybody, so you're gonna abstain? So it was, all in favor except for one for abstention. Okay, gentlemen, I just wanna be sure that it's already been continued, but I wanna make sure that you guys are gonna, you heard the concerns from
I heard the
everybody.
concerns, I think we got some input, we'll talk to Kevin, and we'll get something, an answer from Wes.
And maybe, Kevin, maybe, I know you're a busy guy with everything you're doing, but maybe it's some of the board members will reach out to you on an individual if they have concerns, and maybe you could explain some of the stuff better, or do a walk around up there with some of them. I don't know if you've done that or not, but it probably won't hurt, to do that. This is a big project.
Oh, trust me, I know, working
I
on a
would
couple of
say-
years, it keeps getting kicked around, and that's what,
Oh, but this is the
I'm not
first-
sure what else we need to do between now and then to
Well,
change, you know?
I
We've
don't-
met with Wes, the one that, you know, you're trying to push it off, I get it.
But, you come before this board before with a, first time?
yeah.
Well, I
we
came
had
for conceptual.
The conceptual.
Conceptual.
Yeah, so, you know, to be fair to the board members, I mean, we wanna make sure everybody's voting with a clear mind of what they're voting on, and I'm not exactly hearing that tonight with some of the concerns that have come up. Too many questions, and not about sound and stuff like that, I'm talking about, that's a good question, but I'm talking about the water and the Weirs Boulevard.
What we don't wanna have happen here is to try to put the burden on my client to solve some of the drainage issues that the city hasn't addressed down there. Kevin just came into this ownership, November of '22. He's not even owned it for 2 years. And I believe that there's been serious drainage problems down below us, down gradient of us.
That would be
And-
the city.
And whether the city's been negligent or the abutters there, but they've been filling in this culvert. I want that on the record. I've got pictures and photographic and video evidence showing the poor drainage system that exists today down in that area.
Well, we know there is.
Their city needs to address that, and all the third-party studies aren't gonna change what's in the ground, no pun intended, in this area. Those drainage pipes need to be repaired by the city.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if they're not older than, you know, the other gentleman said 1920s, but, you know, I think some of that stuff goes back to the late 1800s, quite frankly.
I looked at Weirs Boulevard plans back to the 1920s. There was a federal aid project in 28 and also one in 36. I couldn't find these culverts on those plans. I don't know when the city took ownership under the urban compact criteria. I don't know who installed them, but they haven't been maintained. I think they're under the control of the city because I didn't apply for a driveway permit with DOT. So Weirs Boulevard's under your control, the city's control. And likewise, you need to maintain your drainage system. And what I don't wanna have happen is fingers pointed to Kevin during construction saying, we got drainage problems down at Sweetwood and Holiday Bay. And I know there's a problem today because it hasn't been maintained. And I've proven in the report that we're not discharging a greater volume to that point. And it shouldn't be his burden to hire surveyors and engineers to fix the city's problem down gradient of us. But we're willing to work, we're gonna make a situation a lot better once we start construction. We have these state-of-the-art bioretention, detention ponds. The water coming out of there is cleaner, it's drinkable water coming out of these detention ponds. It's unbelievable what they can do now.
Well, and June 4th will be here like that, unfortunately, and, the water, you've got some good arguments with the water situation, and this will give your client a good chance to firm up the concerns tonight about egress onto Weirs
Yeah,
Boulevard.
we'll take that to heart. I think those are really good, positive feedbacks. We'll look seriously at that.
And with all, you know, I wouldn't stop, you got a lot of work to do, I'm sure you're doing all this other stuff in the meantime, no matter what the board did tonight, so you'll have a chance to keep working on that, and I would think at the next meeting, if everything comes across, you'll be one of our speed in and speed out.
Thank you all for your feedback.
So, thank you both. Okay, so now we're on to, glasses here. Presentations. And, I don't think we, do enough, we don't do anything for our retiring, members, so, if you see, Stacy on the street, you can throw some flowers at her or something like that.
Throw flowers at her. Just don't pick them from my
Something like
garbage.
that.
or throw them
Do
out.
we have any presentations tonight?
We do not have any presentations tonight.
All right, moving along now to the planning department report, the
So-
monthly report.
So, we've not historically had a real planning department monthly report, so this is something that we're trying to develop, and we're looking for feedback for what the board wants in this monthly report. So I kind of put together what I thought was a good summary of what we've looked at in the last month. So we think, as of right now, we filled our conservation position, which if we have, that would be the first time we've been at 100% staffing in almost 2 years. So I think that's a huge positive. We have reviewed 4 administrative reviews in the last 2 months. Several of them for home occupations, one converting a portion of a restaurant into a hair salon, and to remove a home occupation from another facility. We have not had any minor site plan applications. And then to highlight, we've had 2 zoning ordinance updates in the last 2 months that you all are aware of. We did the rezone of Old Prescott Hill, which has been approved now by City Council. And then we added unsafe structures to the zoning ordinance, which has now been approved by City Council.
So that's a done deal.
Yep, so both those are done deals. So that was, I think those are both positive changes that we made. And then I just want to highlight, under our master plan, there was an option for us, or an opportunity for us to apply for some federal funding for a master plan. So we requested $100,000 via Governor Shaheen and Mr. Pappas' office.
Senator Machine.
Senator Shaheen, yep.
Former
Thank you.
governor.
Did I say governor?
Yeah.
Oh my God,
I was
yeah.
looking
So,
at that.
anyway.
I mean, it's somewhat true.
You know, back in the day, you know, anyway, so we did request some money for that, so that we could do, a very robust master plan. So hopefully we'll find out in October whether we get any of that funding for that. We'll see. Zoning board, we've had a lot of applications go before zoning board. In March, we had 21 applications alone. Only one of them was denied for short-term lodging. The rest were all approved. And then we had some very large applications last month that were kind of highlighted this evening, go before zoning board last month for some variances along Weirs Boulevard and Endicott Street North. So we will, they've not submitted any planning board applications, but I foresee those coming in the future. And then on the back end, we've kind of done a priority list. This is how we see our priorities, and I would encourage you as board members to review this list. If there's something that you see as a higher priority or something that we don't have on our priority list, bring it to me and we can review, and we can add it to our list, and we can shuffle our list around. It's meant to be an ever-changing list that we stay on target and we're showing progress, and then we're adding to make sure that we're updating things as they need to be. And I'll kind of tie into this as it's on there. Our number 1 was our rules and procedures. As you remember, when Kathy was here several months ago, they attempted to update the planning board rules and procedures, which hadn't been updated since 1998. So in your packets this evening, we have been working on an updated rules of procedures. It is this document right here. And I also have in there is the 1998 rules of procedures. I would encourage you to give it a read through. We're not looking for any adoption right now, but we want a great document. And we're looking for input from board members of things that we should add, things that we should take away. Are there anything in here that we have missed or changes we should make? So I would encourage you all to read it, give me some input, and we can hopefully, kind of hone this in and make something that the board really, really likes and that is gonna be a beneficial, document to the board and our residents.
I mean, can I speak to that?
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things we did was we looked at other cities and towns throughout the state as well, to see what do they have in their rules of procedure, and try to get ideas of, hey, what might be something the board would like to include in our rules of procedure. So by all means, if there are other municipalities that you are aware of and you like looking up rules of procedure, planning boards for fun, and you see something you like, let us know and we'll include it. But
So we did, part of our review process is we wanted to make sure we were following the state law everywhere we could, obviously. So we have reviewed and validated every requirement that's in here against state law. And we validated, and we've compared our regulations to, I think, the city of Concord, Somersworth, Dover, and Exeter. Is there anybody else? I think it was 4 or 5 that we looked at. But we've been trying to do a lot of research in this. But we welcome your input, your thoughts, questions, concerns. Send me an email, give me a call, stop in and have a cup of coffee with me, and I'd love to discuss.
Never got offered coffee.
You are now.
No, guess what? We got a Keurig. I can make you the finest K-cup there ever was.
If coffee was coming with the new remodel.
Yeah.
That was not in my budget.
Saw that RFP.
But yes.
This rules of procedure, this is something you're looking for feedback from everybody?
Yes, I'd like to get, I want the board to be excited about whatever it is we're gonna adopt. And to make sure that we've hit every ticket item the board wants. I think as you've seen, our ordinance and site plan and subdivision regulations are probably lacking in some issues. And we're trying to fill those gaps. And this is the first process to that. And in this, you'll see, we don't have anything, we've done a lot of research, as a master plan steering committee, which is the first step in trying to update our master plan. We have gone through everything, and it's talked about the master plan steering committee in the 2018 master plan, and that goes all the way back to 2014 when the planning director that was here at the time was Shanna Saunders.
Had a big charrette.
And how she picked the master plan steering committee, and that's how she presented it to city council, was they were a group of people that she had selected. Why I think she had great intentions in everything that she did. I think that probably we need to be more thoughtful about how we're selecting the people that are on this committee. And we've put our thoughts in there, but we welcome the board's thoughts, as this is our thoughts. And we want to be open and transparent.
The one thing I'd like you to see on the actual monthly meetings, maybe unless I missed it on here, is something with regards to time. We're doing great tonight, but we've talked about this in the past, this issue with meetings going to 10:30, pushing 11 o'clock, and with all due respect, we all know that after a long day, making that much longer, sometimes people may not make the best decisions. I'm just saying may not.
So we definitely share your thought on that, and if you look at Article 5, under A, we have highlighted that exactly, because we share your thoughts of when we work all day, we don't necessarily want to be here till 10 PM every,
Okay.
on that night as well.
Gail, you had something you
I
wanted to add?
was gonna say, the zoning board does something similar, but I don't remember, I think the last applicant can be heard at 9:30, and that so many, then the applicants are told this when they submit their
Yeah,
application
well,
to
that's
the
too
planning
late here,
department.
9:30 is too late, so,
good too.
just saying, it's too
Make it
late.
9 o'clock.
But whatever, if,
Yeah, just something to think about.
If you wanna make that,
I think
you
if
know.
you move along with less chatter and stuff, then you can.
no,
I think
like,
tonight was a
it was
perfect
moved
example.
along pretty quick tonight.
We did, and I don't see why we can't do that every night. Miss Counselor Cheney.
I'd like to make two comments. One, I think our planning director and his staff have dramatically improved
here.
things.
Yep.
Your monthly report, I'm thrilled to see. What I'd like to suggest to you is you send copies to each of the city councilmen, because it's something they talk about with someone, we never hear until it, something goes wrong or whatever. So sending a monthly report to the whole council, obviously the manager and the mayor, would, I think, dramatically improve their vision of what's going on here.
We can absolutely do that.
Yeah,
That
I
was-
think that would be very helpful. I've been here just long enough, and several of us have, but I've been here just long enough to be able to say, I see dramatic improvement, and thank you for that. Thank you.
I have a great staff that is
Yep.
throwing me ideas every day, so we are,
But their staff you've brought in.
Oh, yes, he did.
I second that.
And nurture.
Thank you.
Yeah, your staff reports now that we get, those are,
I like the new format.
yeah,
God,
much
there's
more
so
info,
much.
concise, can't say enough.
Yep.
I like the fact that he's giving us the motion,
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't have
yeah.
to,
just
you know,
read it.
and the fact findings and
Yeah.
all of that good stuff.
Planning board for dummies.
Listen, it's for me.
so speaking of
Not
that,
my room.
not planning board for dummies, but anyways, the city manager is trying to, bring NHMA in, to the city to do a training session for boards and for staff, for how to run, meetings, making motions, right to know information, in general of how the meeting should flow.
Specifically, if I might interrupt, because I was involved in this, we're going to see to it, every chairman and vice chairman goes to an individual training session on how meetings should be run, what's allowable, what's the difference between tabled and
Continued.
all that kind of crap.
I'm trying to be.
I read the motion. I read it.
Correct that in the future.
So, hopefully those meetings are planned where we can attend.
Yeah, yeah, I think I suspect they're gonna be on weekends, like a Saturday or something.
Well, I hope they contact us because.
Well, it's all about having a passion
Some
for
of us
this.
work so, all the time.
Well, and listen, seriously, if
Yeah.
that's an issue for you, you and I can
Yeah,
talk,
yeah,
but,
it is.
um,
And the other question, Counselor, is that, with all this upgrade and everything, I was surprised in this, document here with the suggestions, there was no mention of salary, and I thought that maybe the council was gonna kick a little into it. So I'm just saying, I'm kidding you.
Doubling your present salary.
Gonna throw
Yeah,
something
gonna-
at me. Yeah, thank you. I'm surprised he didn't jump right on that.
every meeting I come to with you, I end up buying afterwards, so.
I'll remember that. Okay, is that it, Rob?
One more.
Tyler, if you wanna take that last one?
Yes, so, we discussed a couple meetings back, we wanted to look at impact fees. And so we reached out, we grabbed a couple quotes. There is a memo where I've summarized the two quotes that we've received, and they vary from the cheapest being $15,000 for minimal presentations, public engagement, doing site visits, and some policy assessment of what we currently have. They're looking at around $15,000. The maximum quote we've got would be $60,000, plus that same company, if you wanted to look at the road, would be an additional $30,000, so 90 total if you went that route. With that being said, if the board would like to make a request to city council to consider a certain amount of money be dedicated to an impact fee study.
I guess I'm lost here. Are you saying that the impact fees themselves need to be revisited, or are you saying that how much
So it would be the study that is driving us of how we're assessing impact fees.
Assessing and not deciding who,
Not deciding who is paying them, it's
Okay.
how we're assessing them and the calculations and the analytics that go into how much does it cost really now for schools and for the police department
so
and
there
fire
may not
department.
be enough. is
So
what we're-
we're probably, I know we're not asking for enough.
Okay.
But we've not had one done since 2009, and
That's a long
what are the
time.
differences between 2009 and today? And that's what this assessment would cover.
Okay, that's great, great news.
Mr. Chair?
I'll be in to see you and I'll bring it up
Okay.
to the council.
Go ahead, Gail.
Were those, like, you issued an RFP, right, a request for proposal?
No.
Okay, all right, so, because those are seemingly not like,
So we don't have money to spend, so we had to reach out to people and be like, if we were to do this,
okay.
how
no
much
L-
do you think
no
it would
RFP.
cost?
So no RFP, so
No.
you don't have,
It-
those
it
are
was-
apples and oranges.
It was very
comparisons,
generalized, and
kind of.
people were very hesitant about giving us quotes when we didn't actually have firm data of what we were looking for.
Okay.
But we got some ballpark numbers, and I thought that was the best we could actually ask for to go to city council and ask for the study.
I don't know if Councilor Cheney mentioned it or not, maybe somebody else, but I was thrilled when you mentioned the grant that you've applied to for the master plan. I don't know, Bruce, maybe, I can't remember the last time I heard somebody applying for a grant for something like that within the planning department. That's great.
I think all of it falls under what I just said,
Yeah.
and that is a tremendous improvement. Thank you.
Okay, anything else, you guys?
That's all the wind in my sails.
Okay, so next we have Lakes Region Planning, this is liaison reports. Lakes Region Planning Commission, anybody here for that tonight?
I was not able to attend the previous meeting. I don't know if Tyler was there at all. It was the one in Tamworth, I think it was.
Yes.
I was at the previous one, so if you want to report from that, but the most recent meeting, I think Tyler was able to attend.
Yeah, I think the biggest discussion they had at the LRPC was brownfield funding. Specifically, they had applied for, I believe it was $345,000 to look at brownfield sites within the Lakes region, specifically in Franklin, Laconia, and Ashland. That's for planning mitigation efforts, not just on city property, but it'd be with like a private entity, and how we would kind of partner with them to get that grant money to use to remediate their own property. Another aspect of that was for planning as well, and we're looking at ways that we can use those funds to assist us in some of this master plan study.
Yeah, so we, just to piggyback on that, we went up to Lakes Region Plan Commission, was that last week?
Last week, correct.
And we had a meeting with their director up there, to see if there was a way we could utilize some of this funding that they had, for planning efforts here, and to incorporate that into our master plan. So we're striving to hit every money bucket we can hit. So that's our ongoing effort.
Correct.
Okay, conservation?
They met, last week, I think, and, we, basically, the mitigation projects for milfoil, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, Lake Coast program are moving forward. There were no CUPs. If there had been a CUP that we addressed, I would've mentioned it on this meeting. So, that's about it. I think there's another meeting coming up in 2 weeks. It is my recommendation that we only meet once a month, as opposed to meeting twice monthly.
Good luck, I tried that.
And, well, I can't do 2 months. I can't
Well,
continue to do.
No, that's fine.
Anyway,
Perhaps that's
and,
something.
but there's, other than milfoil mitigation and the Lake Coast project and those things that typically go on to protect the lake, nothing really significant came out of that.
Okay, thank you. City councilor? Anything on the city council? Okay, we have nothing on the historical district commission because we're still waiting for the city council to finish what they need to do, finish on that. Is there any other business?
They actually kicked that to me. That's on my priority list.
Oh.
What's happening on Bay Street? It still looks like that.
But that'll be on other business. Other business now. Mike wants to know if there's been any movement on Bay Street as far as tearing down that building.
So, a member of the public recently came in and inquired about the zoning aspect, what was approved by the planning board. They were looking for, I believe it's going to be their financier of the project. They were just looking to make sure that in our notice of approval, everything was spelled out of what was needed, how performance zoning works, did they need any variances, anything like that, just before they.
This is the people that have the property now? Or who-
The people that were gonna finance for the purchase of the
Okay.
property and development, so they had come to do a zoning check, but that's the only other that I really have.
Okay.
That was just what, last week?
Yeah,
All right.
last week.
Any other new business, other business? Well, I wanna, once again, before we do quit, for the night, Stacy, thank you again very much. You've been a blast, seriously.
See you next month.
No, you sat through a lot of meetings and, a lot of contentious meetings, so I appreciate that greatly.
Thank you.
And, I guess that's it, you know, we're out of here at 8:40, probably could have done it 10 minutes sooner, but we're good. See everybody on, June 4th. That's